Hello everyone. Today I wanted to talk about a 1940 movie recently released by Kino Lorber. And this is Rise My Love, starring Claudette Colbert and Ray Milland, directed by Mitchell Leisen, and screenplay by Charles Brackett and Billy Wilder. And that's how they're billed in the credits, Charles Brackett and Billy Wilder. This is very much a 1940s movie. It's very topical as to current events, opens at the aftermath of the Spanish Civil War, moves on to the invasion of Poland, the invasion of Paris, the occupation of Paris by the Nazis, U-boats attacking ocean liners. It's very much a plea to America to take notice, to Americans to take notice of what's going on in Europe. America in 1940 was still largely isolationist. This was a year before Pearl Harbor. And only 20 years after the last World War, and here from their point of view, we have to go into another war, what they saw as a European war. And there was throughout the rise of Hitler, the rise of fascism, the studios stayed away from Hitler and this whole kind of topicality, which comes out very overtly in Rise My Love because of commercial concerns. They made money in Europe. They didn't want to offend European governments, and they didn't want to offend German Americans who wouldn't come to see these movies. So it's very much a pastiche of topical events, but it's also of moods, of film type. So it opens as an adventure story. It goes into a screwball comedy. It becomes a very tender and very moving love story in the forest of France. And then we get another hairbreadth escape. It both opens and closes with hairbreadth escapes. It opens in a Spanish prison where Ray Milland is about to face the firing squad and is saved by Claudette Colbert, who comes masquerading as his wife, unbeknownst to him. Masquerade, of course, a big part of Billy Wilder's whole career. People pretending to be somebody they're not. And as in many ways, that goes back to Wilder's, the influence of Ernst Lubitsch on Wilder. For Ray Milland, this was a real star-making, breakout kind of movie. Now, he had appeared with Claudette Colbert 5 years before that, and probably his first most significant role. It's a co-starring role, The Gilded Lily. Also Fred MacMurray's first significant role, but Fred MacMurray became a big movie star right away and made more movies with Colbert and also with Carole Lombard. But Milland here he's very heroic, he's dashing, he's funny. You really admire his determination to fight fascism. He's a pilot. He's fought in the Spanish Civil War against fascism. He tries to go to Poland to join the Polish Air Force and then RAF once Poland has been conquered. And you really, tremendous chemistry with Colbert. In the commentary, which I'll get to in a minute, Milland, I guess in one of his autobiographies, states that in 1935 on The Gilded Lily, he was pretty much terrified, didn't have a clue what he was doing. He never really wanted to be an actor, and somehow he's appearing with just about the #1 female star. So he didn't talk to her much, and then she finally came over to him and said, why don't you talk to me? And he says, well, you know, I'm terrified of you, you know. And then she said, well, let's be friends. And they became really good friends, and you really see it in the chemistry. Colbert was one of the greatest actresses, I think, as far as her ability to interact with her co-stars, and Fred MacMurray, of course, Clark Gable, and in the famous It Happened One Night. But I think in all of her movies, she's very generous with her co-stars, and she makes sure they look good. And here, the part she's playing here, and this is as a newspaper woman, and newspaper, you know, this was ever since, maybe that goes back to It Happened Well, I guess the front page popularized the movie stars playing newspaper reporters. And this film it resembles very much Foreign Correspondent by Hitchcock, which was also a plea to America to take notice of these horrible events happening in Europe, where Joel McCrea plays a foreign correspondent. But here, Colbert is really at her strongest. She's witty, she's intelligent, she's so beautifully photographed by Charles Lang. I mean, it's just, his lighting is just the Paramount look, this kind of glimmering, shining look. A lot of that can be attributed to Charles Lang. So the commentary, which I briefly mentioned, is by Kat Ellinger, and it's another really good commentary in which she is extolling Mitchell Leisen as a forgotten director, because he directed movies by Preston Sturges and by Billy Wilder. They went on to become superstar directors, and Mitchell Leisen, without them, so it goes. So his reputation goes. He didn't have anywhere near the success with other films as he did with their scripts. And Ellinger's commentary has a lot of really good stuff in it. She quotes Molly Haskell talking about the Code days and how they were able to, when sex became a subject, you couldn't have sex. You know, at pre-Code you didn't really have sex, but you had much more explicit intimations of sex. And Molly Haskell says in the Code days you had to substitute sex with aggression. So they would always, couples would fight with each other as a sort of erotic experience, substituting for sex. She also tells an amusing anecdote. I guess this too is maybe from Ray Milland's autobiography. There's a scene where there's three men in a bathroom. Ray Milland is in the bathtub. We see him from the waist up and bare-chested, and one of the men are sitting on the bathtub. Well, this was kind of bathrooms, and have three men in a bathroom. That would really upset the censors. And Leisen anticipated that, and when he had a scene where he liked the scene, he wanted to film the scene, he would add a line of dialogue that he thought the censors would, oh, we got to get rid of that, and maybe getting rid of that one line of dialogue, the rest of the scene could go on as it was filmed. So in this scene in the bathroom, one of Ray Milland's friends says to him, looks in the bathtub and says, "I didn't know you were Jewish." And of course, Mitchell Leisen was correct. The scene stood, but the line came out. And Leisen was widely known as a great set designer. He worked with DeMille in the early 30s, and when he went on his own, of course, the set design at Paramount was superb anyways, but he really gave great attention to detail. Now, Arise My Love is so wide-reaching, you know, it doesn't really, you don't have that same glimmer, say, as in Midnight, another Billy Wilder, Charles Brackett, Mitchell Leisen movie, Claudette Colbert movie, which looks absolutely fantastic. And one of the main reasons is the fantastic set design and the look, the Paramount look that Leisen was so good at providing. But there are some moments in Rise My Love. There's a scene when they're in Paris. They go to Maxime's, which was the famous restaurant, nightclub, where many French celebrities would hang out. And Leisen had them duplicate to make it look absolutely authentic. So if somebody who had been to Maxine's walks into the studio, the set of Maxine's, they would think he was in Maxine's. He even went to Maxine's had a famous head waiter called George, I think it was, and Leisen knew what he looked like, and he cast an actor who looked just like the real George, the real head waiter. And Leisen, Ray Milland and Leisen really got along good together, and they remained good friends. And Leisen and Ray Milland went into TV, did a lot of TV work in the 1950s. And one of the reasons Milland liked Leisen, Claudette, Colbert, loved Leisen, and almost all the actors, was because he was very actor-oriented. He would allow them to change lines if they were uncomfortable with the lines that the screenwriter had given them. Well, for Billy Wilder, this was, this was the greatest sin a director could do, to change even one iota of his and Charles Brackett's dialogue. So that's one of the main reasons. Now they actually, Leisen, one of the main reasons that Billy Wilder became a director, because he thought that Mitchell Leisen was butchering his screenplays. But they actually made one more movie. I think what was it, Hold Back the Dawn, I think, before Billy Wilder went on his own as a director. Wilder thought that the writer should be on the set, but Wilder would kick up such a fuss, when Mitchell Leisen would do something that wasn't in the script, that Leisen would have him kicked off the set. So this is I've done several of Claudette Colbert movies. It's maybe my longest series of any actor director, and I didn't set out to do that, because Kino Lorber has just released a whole bunch of Claudette Colbert movies in the past year. Bluebeard's Eighth Wife, I think I might do before I wrap up my Claudette Colbert. I'll stay away from her most famous films, because I really like delving into these movies that were perhaps well liked and popular at one time, but have, for whatever reason, been overlooked through history. So that'll wrap up this video. Thanks as always for everybody who stuck around and listened to me. It's much appreciated. Any comments are welcome. You guys take care.